that was stolen.
Breaking news right now, a police pursuit near Alhambra involving a police vehicle.
Desmond Shaw is live in Sky 9 above it all. Desmond, what's going on?
Yeah, Peter, Andrea, certainly not something you see every day. Seems like we're always talking about chases. How often do we talk about a chase where the suspect vehicle is actually a police vehicle? So we haven't gotten confirmation that this is stolen or even what agency it is. He's going so fast, I'm trying to zoom in to see just what agency this vehicle is from. But we know that it started off, we picked up the chase right around Fairway and Valley Boulevard in the Walnut area, and he has just been flying westbound on Valley Boulevard. He's been on Valley Boulevard this entire time now, just crossed Garfield. They're now coming to another major intersection. This is going to be Atlantic, and let's see what he does, just blowing through lights. And, you know, to everyone else, this must look like this is just a police officer trying to get to an emergency situation since he's got sirens on and lights flashing. And so everyone is going to be pulling over for him. And just obviously a pretty crazy situation here. We had heard the speeds of up to 70 miles an hour on Valley Boulevard and going through a big construction zone. And Valley Boulevard, one of the busiest streets in the LA metro area. So obviously a very dangerous situation. We're on the western edge of Alhambra now. He will be heading towards East Los Angeles, and actually Cal State East LA should be coming up here as well as the 710 freeway.
Well, Desmond, very unusual situation. We see that the vehicle has its lights on. Does it have its sirens on as well?
I believe I did hear on the scanner that they did have the sirens on as well. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with this, but I did hear that they were calling for spike strips. But that was back at Valley Boulevard in the West Coast, or actually, I should say in the Puente area where they were calling for a spike strip. So I'm not sure that they had any available, and we're going to be approaching Cal State East LA here momentarily, still westbound on Valley Boulevard.
And Desmond, you mentioned how confusing this must be for a lot of viewers who are watching this. This is actually a stolen police vehicle. I know we're still getting some information, but any idea how that suspect got into the vehicle?
No idea at all about how they got into a vehicle. You would think if any vehicle would be difficult to steal, it would be a police agency vehicle. But it does appear that is what's going on here. Westbound still on Valley Boulevard, and I believe we're going to get the across street here for you in just a bit. Let me pan out here, and we will be coming up near the beginning of the 710 freeway, so we'll see if he's going to decide to keep it westbound on Valley or perhaps pick up some freeways here.
I guess the good news in all of this is for people who are driving in that area. They see the lights, possibly the sirens, and you can see that they're getting out of the way anyway because they think it is an actual police vehicle on some kind of emergency call. Have we had any word about possible collisions with any other cars?
I haven't heard of any collisions, haven't seen any collisions, and you're right, that is probably the only silver lining to this right now, is that at least people looking in their rearview mirrors should, in theory anyway, have a pretty good heads up here to get out of the way of this guy who, again, has been clocked at speeds up to 70 miles an hour on Valley. The speed limit on Valley Boulevard, I know, can get as low as 25 miles an hour. A very, very busy street, lots of signals, and this guy's just been blowing through all kinds of red lights and intersections.
Very dangerous indeed, Desmond, and as you mentioned, this all happened earlier this evening near Fairway and Valley Boulevard is when we first found out about this pursuit. This was in the Walnut area about a half hour ago, but as you can see right now, that vehicle, the police vehicle, still going. It's blown through several intersections, going about 70 miles per hour. Very dangerous, of course, for folks who may not understand that this police vehicle with the lights flashing and the sirens blaring is actually stolen. And as you can see, it's still going.
That's right. I believe that was just the beginning of the 710 freeway there. He would have had the option to go southbound on the 710, but has opted to stick with Valley Boulevard at this point. So now he will be getting, I believe, into the El Sereno area, and the next up will be the 5 freeway and possibly the East L interchange, and quite a few options for him there. Let's try to get in front of these buildings here and these tall trees, try to keep this in sight for you. I know we have a couple of sheriff's helicopters overhead as well, so I don't think they're going to be able to, or rather, this one is not going to get away from these guys. We had seen a couple of chases in the last couple of weeks where sheriff's departments had trouble keeping up or keeping pace with some of these suspects, and a couple of suspects had gotten away, but I don't think that's going to be the case tonight.
And the other scary part of all this is we don't know what is in that police vehicle. There could be weapons in there and other gear in there that police actually use. So we don't know what's in that vehicle and what that suspect could actually use to his or her advantage.
Yeah, that's right. You know, obviously, police departments keep a lot of different utilities inside of their vehicles. Obviously, weapons and computers, all kinds of different stuff. So that is a very good point. No idea what is inside this police cruiser at the moment. Here we go. Still westbound on Valley. I believe this is Huntington Drive we're just crossing underneath right now. So he'll be into the El Sereno area. And again, we'll be at this pace. We'll be at the 5 freeway here pretty quickly at this point.
And Desmond, it's hard for us to read, but what department does this police cruiser belong to?
Yeah, that's we've been trying to read that as well. It's kind of dark here, and he's just been going along so quickly. I can try to put in the doubler. Let me see if this will yield any results. No, it's just a little bit too dark, unfortunately. But I'm wondering if it's this. I've been listening in on LA County Sheriff's the Industry Division, so it might be the City of Industry or one of the surrounding localities.
And it's curious that the driver, you see that other police vehicle getting up close. That's the closest we've seen.
Getting right up on him.
Possibly thinking of doing a pit maneuver.
He's getting right up on him now. Yeah, let's see if he's going to come in with anything here. I haven't heard them say anything about trying to do a pit maneuver pursuit intervention technique, but certainly I would say that traffic conditions are light enough, and these officers obviously well-trained enough that they would be able to pull off one of these. And that is going to be the 5 freeway now that we're going underneath. And still going westbound, and we'll get some cross streets here for you in just a second.
Now, it looked like that one police vehicle came up close, and then either it slowed down or the suspect vehicle kept on going even faster. Does it look like it's speeding up?
Yeah, well, he's kind of trying to keep pace with him here. You know, these vehicles are modified, obviously, for law enforcement and very high on the horsepower. Now going over the LA River, it looks like. So we'll be heading towards the downtown LA area now at this point, and still trying to get some cross streets here for you. It's
and right now,
try to keep pace with this guy.
You can see traffic is pretty light, but if he is heading towards the downtown area, obviously there's the possibility of more congestion. A lot of people might be out right now. It is a Sunday evening. A very dangerous pursuit you're watching right now, folks. This is probably confusing if you're just joining us because this is actually a stolen police vehicle. Desmond Shaw telling us that this all happened about a half hour ago. This vehicle stolen from the Walnut area. A lot of this involving side streets, mainly Valley Boulevard. But as you can see, this driver has no intention of slowing down, going up to 70 miles per hour, even faster at some points, blowing through stoplights, blowing through stop signs. And as you can see, just still driving pretty recklessly.
Yeah, going through a red light.
Yeah, we're now on Alameda. We're now on Alameda. Now on Alameda Street. I believe this is going to be southbound Alameda. And once again, just blowing through intersections there. It looked for a moment like that other officer was going to come in, perhaps for a pit maneuver, and then he sped up and got away. So not sure if he was anticipating that or what. There's Union Station you now see. So we are indeed south on Alameda. We're passing by Union Station, and it looks like he may be joining the... Yeah, it looks like he may be joining the freeway here.
Okay, I see.
Looks like he's getting on the 101.
Going to be the 101. Yeah, he's going to be on the 101 just south of the 4 level, so he'll have the option of picking up either the north or south 101 or the north or south 110. Now getting onto the freeway here. Here we go. And
so he is now in the downtown area. It looks like he's getting on the 101 northbound. It appears that, he's now on the freeway.
And this makes it even more.
This
makes it even more difficult for law enforcement because at least on side streets, there's the opportunity for a pit maneuver. There's the opportunity possibly for spike strips, but on the freeway, all of that is much more difficult.
Yeah, and coming up on some stop traffic now. So now let's see what happens. He's northbound on the 101, right over the 4-level interchange, and now officers able to get really close to this guy, and he's zigzagging around. Yeah. We're getting into some heavy traffic and kind of some low visibility for us here. Stand by, but as you can see, we're now northbound on the 101, getting right near the end of the merger with the 110, which is always busy. Even at this time of evening, you can see pretty heavy traffic developing through there, zigzagging around. Officers in pursuit, not too far behind.
And you have to wonder,
everyone is going to be confused.
What is going on through the minds of these drivers? Because from their perspective, they see a vehicle with the lights flashing. They think this is actually a police officer. So they're doing what they think they're supposed to be doing, getting out of the way. Little do they know, this is a suspect.
Exactly. Unintentionally aiding him. You know, there's no way that anyone could ascertain that here as they're on the freeway. But indeed, that is the advantage that this guy has. But as we were also saying, it plays a little bit into safety for people, is that they'll get out of the way here. We're now northbound on the 110, getting through the Echo Park and Silver Lake area, heading up towards the greater Hollywood area and the San Fernando Valley. And even for this late on a Sunday, now you can see quite a few people out at this point. Northbound on the 101, and we'll check the speeds here, but we're definitely getting pretty fast here. I'm going to say probably right around 80, maybe 90 miles an hour here, northbound on the 101.
Now, Desmond, have you seen the CHP join in now on this pursuit?
I have not. I've seen the same cruisers here that have been in pursuit the entire time. I believe, again, from the Industry Walnut area, and they've been on top of this. I have not heard about the CHP joining in on this chase. Northbound on the 101, we just saw the Benton exit there not too long ago. We'll be coming up on Vermont here pretty quickly. That's the Silver Lake exit that he just went by, and looks like he's staying in the left lane. But we saw him zigzagging through some traffic there, back or right around the 4-level interchange. So. Here we go. Going to see this guy again. Yeah, getting out of the way for what they think is an officer, but is actually a suspect, quite possibly in a stolen police cruiser.
Just a bizarre chase, Desmond. Let's talk about some of the options that police have. You know, obviously they have to be very careful with this guy, but you know, now that he's on the freeway going extremely fast in a police vehicle, what do they need to do, or what can they do?
Yeah, I would still say that the pit maneuver is going to be one of the best options, but you know the window to do that maneuver is going to be pretty small, and certainly when traffic is this heavy. But you know, a chase that does come to mind was one through downtown LA in rush hour traffic, and we saw CHP pulling a pit maneuver in rush hour traffic. So if they believe that they have the opportunity to do it, and they think that this person is driving so erratically that it would be safer to do the pit maneuver in fairly heavy traffic, that is certainly something they will do. Using a spike strip is not going to be nearly as easy of an option now that they're on the freeway. That was definitely something that would have been fantastic if they could have back on Valley Boulevard. So perhaps if they can communicate with other agencies up ahead, if he gets off the freeway, they could have some spike strips in place. But I believe at this point, the pit maneuver is probably going to be the best bet.
Now, Desmond, do we know if there is just the driver in the car, or possibly is there a passenger as well?
We have not heard any word about the suspect, if it's a male or female, or how many people are in the car at this point.
And just to recap for folks who may now just be joining us, we don't know exactly how this suspect got into this police cruiser. We don't know which agency specifically or which department this vehicle belongs to. We do know that this all started in the Walnut area and was mainly on surface streets, but as you can see now on the 101. So, Desmond, where exactly is he right now, and where does it look like he's sort of veering towards?
Right now, we are still northbound on the 101. As I look out the window here, we are going to be approaching the Cahuenga Pass here pretty quickly. He's just been flying through the Hollywood area. There you see the Church of Scientology right off of the 101 freeway. So we're coming away from Hollywood Boulevard at Franklin, and we will now be north and westbound into the San Fernando Valley.
Got to wonder where this person is going. I mean, he's being very conspicuous about wherever he or she is traveling to. Desmond, do we know any more about possibly where this stolen police cruiser is from yet?
Yeah, I'm still, you know, the scanners have gone silent on this one. I've been trying to get around and get that information for you guys. I don't have it at the moment here. We're northbound. We're going to be coming up away from the Highland on-ramp. There's the Highland off-ramp right there. Getting into kind of some low visibility here, so the shot might get a little bit grainy. Actually, some low clouds now beginning to come through the Cahuenga Pass, but he's on his way, looks like, to the San Fernando Valley. This is again a chase that started just about 40 minutes ago or so in the Walnut area. So we've already covered quite a bit of ground here at very high speeds. He's definitely been using this to his advantage, these lights and sirens, to get people out of his way. That's, you know, really allowed him to just go pedal to the metal here. Now northbound on the 101 will be into a Universal City here pretty quickly.
And as you mentioned, Desmond, this is very unusual, especially for the drivers who are on the 101, probably assuming that a police vehicle is trying to respond to some sort of an emergency, so they're doing what they assume is the correct action, which is getting out of the way. But this is just completely just unusual for these drivers. And you can see right now that vehicle swerving around, going up to 100 miles per hour, we're told at some point. And now definitely getting a little bit more dicey because the traffic, as you mentioned, is starting to sort of congest more.
Yeah, indeed. This is obviously another very busy point here at the Cahuenga Pass. Even at this evening, have a lot of people coming back from an evening in Hollywood, or you're going to have people coming back from Universal Studios up ahead as well. So we did see a little bit of traffic, and you can tell people are definitely confused because you have this what they think is an officer just flying along here northbound on the 101, and then you've got the other officers right behind him. So I don't think people could really tell just exactly what's going on. We're now at the Universal City, so we are in the San Fernando Valley. Unfortunately, we are past the low clouds here. Visibility in the valley is going to be a lot better at this point. We'll be coming up on the Hollywood split, so he'll have the option of the northbound 170. That will be the 2 left lanes, or if he stays to the right, he will pick up the westbound 101 through the Studio City area.
But this driver really is zigzagging through traffic, but it is a bit safer, I would assume, for drivers to be getting out of the way and knowing that there is a police cruiser behind them, though it makes it more difficult for this driver to be caught, but at least drivers are getting out of the way and trying to get out of harm's way.
Exactly, yeah, kind of a double-edged sword there, like we were saying. You'll see the flashing lights coming up in the rearview mirrors, so people will naturally get out of the way there, but then that's only helping this guy. So it looks like he is going to be staying to the left so far, unless he tries some last-second maneuver. It looks like he is. Yeah, he is now going northbound on the 170. And in my opinion, this would be a pretty good freeway to try a pit maneuver or something, because northbound on the 170 on a Sunday night is not going to be one of the more congested freeways. So perhaps let's see if this will allow the agencies here in pursuit to perhaps bring this safely to an end.
But a very scary situation for officers, because even if this vehicle stops, we don't know, as we've said before, we don't know what is in that police cruiser. There might be a weapon, there might be something else that the suspect could use on the officers. So really not a good situation right now.
No, definitely not. I mean, it is probably a pretty safe bet that there are weapons inside that vehicle. I mean, obviously, a lot of almost any law enforcement agency is going to have some kind of weapon in their vehicle at all times. So really flying along now, getting up to very, very high speeds northbound on the 170, leaving the North Hollywood, the Valley Village area. He'll be headed up towards the Pacoima area and then up towards the 5 freeway.
That driver certainly on a very daring dash to freedom right now, showing no sign of slowing down, going upwards to 100 miles per hour right now on the 170 freeway. And Desmond, again, we keep talking about it, but it's worth repeating, a very confusing situation for drivers because they are seeing the flashing lights, hearing the sirens. They're probably assuming this is a legitimate police vehicle. We're told that perhaps this vehicle came out of West Covina. We're still trying to confirm that, but that could be the department that this vehicle belongs to, West Covina. Again, starting around 9:45 this evening, stayed on a lot of surface streets until it then got onto the 101 in the downtown area. Now in North Hollywood on the 170 freeway, still zigzagging around cars, going very fast. A very dangerous situation that still continues with this driver. No sign of slowing down at all.
No sign of slowing down at all. And yeah, like you said, when you see a lot of people here that are driving are probably thinking that this guy is the lead cruiser, for wherever they're headed. They probably just think that this is the lead car in a convoy of authorities headed somewhere. And, turns out, surprise, this is actually the guy that all the other cops are chasing right now. Very high rates of speed. Northbound 170 here, up to about 80 or 90 miles an hour here. We will be upon the 5 freeway pretty quickly.
You got to wonder where this person is going. A lot of times we've covered so many pursuits, as you have as well, Desmond, and sometimes they have a location, a destination in mind, a home, a relative's home possibly. Got to wonder where this person is going, and at some point they will be running out of gas. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens as they continue to zip through traffic there. They are going much faster than the flow of traffic. Wonder what speeds they're at now, Desmond.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you from experience of driving the 170 quite a few times that this is a freeway that a lot of people like to speed on. And so when you can see that this guy is going as fast as he is, we're pretty close to triple-digit speeds now here northbound on the 170. And you're right, a lot of times these suspects end up going to neighborhoods where they live or places they're very familiar with, or perhaps they have friends that they think that can help them out or something like that. So, okay, now he's going to be getting off the freeway. I believe this is Roscoe Boulevard. Let's see what he does here. There's actually a collector lane that will allow him to continue on the freeway if he chooses. And it looks like he is going to be exiting the freeway. This is actually, I believe this is Sherman Way that he's coming around into. And you can see the overhead, the overhead spotlights there of the sheriff's choppers that have been in pursuit on this as well. So I believe this is now westbound on Sherman Way.
So that's the Van Nuys area, Desmond?
This is going to be more like the Panorama City area, and yeah, headed westbound. So once again, we're going to see on some pretty congested streets here.
And it may be more advantageous.
Okay, into a gas station.
Into a gas station.
Into a gas station.
Ooh.
Let's see what it. Well, it looks like he's just trying to.
Shortcut.
Just driving completely recklessly. We were going to say it may be advantageous now that the driver is getting off the freeway for the following agencies to try to do some sort of pit maneuver, because obviously conditions have to be just right. You can't be going too fast on the freeway for that to happen, but still very dangerous right now because he is still just going extremely fast on these surface streets in the Panorama City area.
Yeah. Yes, he's going freeway speeds here on surface streets. He was briefly westbound on Sherman Way. We saw him cut through that gas station, and now he is south. I believe this is going to be Whitsett. And so, again, now people just walking by or driving by, they think that this guy is on his way to an emergency to go help somebody out. And, again, it turns out that this is actually the person who is being chased. So very confusing situation for bystanders coming through. And we're coming up over the Metrolink tracks here southbound. Again, I believe this is Whitsett. So now he'll be heading back down towards the Valley Village area and the 101 freeway.
It is so nerve-wracking to watch this. You see the freeway speeds going on surface streets, and if there's a pedestrian in the way, they're not going to have time to get out of the way. It's just very scary to watch all this unfold.
Yeah, I believe that was actually Laurel Canyon that he was south on, and now he just turned back eastbound. So now we're heading back, kind of looping back around towards the 170 freeway, and I believe this is going to be Victory. Pretty sure here. So now back through the Valley Village area and towards the 170 and making a southbound turn, indeed back onto the 170. So now we're south on the 170 once again. Basically made a big loop and headed back down towards the Hollywood split, and he will have options to stay south onto the 101 Hollywood freeway or eastbound on the 134.
And with all of these erratic moves, there's really no way for officers to do spike strips because you don't know where this guy is going to go.
Yep, got it.
He's been driving
Absolutely
pretty erratically.
no idea where this guy's going to go.
It doesn't seem like he has a destination.
Very high speeds. No, I think he's just thinking he's going to go pedal to the metal and get away. But again, we still have two sheriff's helicopters on pursuit overhead, and I'm noticing now that units are starting to keep their distance a little bit, and we've seen this a lot in previous years where chases end horrifically because of very high speeds and with the authorities close in pursuit. So to try to encourage this driver to ease off the gas pedal a little bit, they will kind of cut back or rather stay back and give this guy some space and hope that he slows down and stops endangering everybody.
And so where is the vehicle now? He got back on the 170. Which direction was that, Desmond?
This is southbound on the 170, so now through the North Hollywood area, and we're going to be coming back upon the southbound 101 Hollywood freeway here very quickly. I believe that is a Riverside Drive, and yes, we are sticking with the southbound 101, it looks like at this point.
So going backwards from where he just was coming from.
Yeah, he's now completely looping back, so now towards the Cahuenga Pass and through the Universal City area, and we'll see if he continues back towards downtown LA where we saw some of that heavy traffic and where it looked for a moment like we could have almost seen the end of this pursuit, but he was able to worm his way around a couple of vehicles and weave around them And we saw him go up to the valley, and now he's doubling back, as we said, southbound. Very high rates of speed, just near probably about 100 miles an hour. And, yeah, we are actually just now coming up onto the southbound 101 freeway here, getting ready to cross the 134, where the 170 turns into the southbound 101 Hollywood freeway.
And again, we are hearing that this vehicle may belong to West Covina's police department. Another thing that may be discouraging, this tank of gas may be completely full, we're being told by police, that this driver may not stop, it seems, until that, we were talking about maybe when he runs out of gas. That might not even be an option at this point if that tank is completely full. So right now, as you can see, he is still tailing it through North Hollywood. We were mentioning it just doesn't seem like he knows where he's going. He's looping around, but still going at a very dangerous speed, possibly getting back on the freeway soon.
Yeah, we are southbound on the 101 through Universal City, and yeah, I have to say I'm kind of surprised I haven't seen any other agencies pick up on this one. It has been LA County Sheriffs. A lot of times they will hand this over to another jurisdiction, to LAPD or to the Highway Patrol. That has not been the case. It looks like we've had West Covina police here in pursuit the entire time. I will say, though, that if he continues to drive, these old Crown Victorias are not exactly known for their gas mileage, and when you're going triple digits like that, you see we're just now going by the Universal Studios area. He will certainly run out of gas a lot more quickly with these triple-digit speeds. Now southbound on the 101 will be coming up to the Cahuenga Pass and down towards the Hollywood area very quickly at this rate.
And Desmond, it looks like drivers are continuing to get out of this person's way. You got to wonder if this person actually wants the sirens and lights on, if it is helping in his getaway, or if he's trying to figure out how to turn those things off so he can be more inconspicuous and maybe try to lose officers.
Yeah, that is an interesting point. I mean, obviously he's not going to be able to slip away with the lights and sirens going as it is. So that is certainly a disadvantage for him. But with the lights and sirens on, everyone is also yielding to him. So it is kind of a double-edged sword here. Now southbound on the 101, coming up on Highland, that's a Cahuenga you see there just to the top of the screen. And he will be down into the Hollywood area. And the southbound 101, as I gaze ahead, it looks like it is actually pretty open through the Hollywood area. We'll probably start to see some slower traffic, though, right around the 4 level, as we saw earlier when he was northbound on the 101. So now doubling back into the Cahuenga Pass, southbound on the 101. This what appears to be a stolen police cruiser out of the West Covina City of Industry Walnut area.
So he may be going back to where this all began, because he went north, now he's going back south. And usually when we see these types of chases, the suspects tend to stay in areas they're familiar with, which may explain some of the erratic driving we saw earlier when he got off and didn't really know exactly where he was going. But now it seems like he's making a return to where this all could have started around 9:45 this evening.
Yeah, and I did see it looked like a California Highway Patrol. I don't know if he was just incidentally happened to be on the freeway and he was going to give an assist there, but this guy just blown by there, as he has been everybody. We're definitely up around 100 miles an hour now. Southbound on the 101, and this is a freeway. This is the second freeway that was built in LA back in the 1950s. So this is not a stretch of concrete that is designed for cars to be traveling at this rate of speed. And well, he's hanging to the right here like he may be exiting the freeway. Let's see what happens here. This is Hollywood Boulevard we're coming up on, and indeed he is exiting the freeway at Hollywood Boulevard. And we'll see if he goes east or west, either into the heart of Hollywood or into the East Hollywood and Little Armenia area, acting like he's going to go towards the left, and that is what he's doing. So he's going to head towards the East Hollywood area, unless, well, let's see, maybe he's going to rejoin the freeway again, zigzagging around. Well, he had the option to rejoin the 101. I'll try to get around these buildings here. Eastbound on Hollywood Boulevard, obviously one of the busiest streets in Los Angeles, and he can take this over towards Vermont, possibly the Los Feliz area. We'll see where he goes here, having some trouble with some buildings. Can we try to get to the other side here?
Well, the good news so far, at least, is that it doesn't appear there are any crashes or injuries. Is he stopping? Nope, he's going around those cars. At this point, it doesn't seem like he has caused any crashes, but obviously that could still happen. It is very dangerous right now that this person is still just going very, very fast, up to 100 miles per hour now on surface streets in Hollywood. A lot of people out Sunday night.
I certainly hope he has his sirens on, because we have, a lot of people out walking around. Okay, he's making a turn down a small residential street in the Hollywood area. So now we're northbound away from Hollywood Boulevard back up towards Franklin. A very, very dense area here. Lots of apartment buildings. You can see by all the cars parked here. Very narrow streets here. So a very, very dangerous situation here. Now I believe he is eastbound. This is going to be Franklin. Eastbound on Franklin now, headed towards the Los Feliz area.
Now, tough position for police right now, because at some points, Desmond, we were talking about how police kind of take a step back because they don't want to put the public's safety in jeopardy. However, this is a police cruiser, so they don't want to let this car go. So what do they do at this point?
Yeah. Your guess is as good as mine. This is a very delicate situation for sure. Obviously, they're going to want to recover their vehicle, but they have to wonder what kind of weapons might be inside the vehicle. Okay, we're now turning northbound again away from Franklin. This is going to be up now towards the Hollywood Hills area, into a very, very nice residential street as he heads north, kind of headed towards the Hollywood side now at this point. And
very narrow streets. You got to wonder how this is all going to play out.
Yeah, very, very narrow streets, and again, I don't know if he has his sirens on at this point, but just for the safety of everybody around him, I certainly hope that he does.
That stolen car again now heading towards the Hollywood Hills area in Los Feliz right now, still blowing through stop signs and intersections, still driving very recklessly and very fast. And that's the problem here, is that we don't know how this is going to end, or if there is a destination that this driver is trying to get to. But it appears that this guy is just going as fast and as dangerous as possible and has no intention of stopping or slowing down.
Yeah, and you know what? And we are now on Los Feliz. It looks like he is going to be east on Los Feliz. That was just Vermont, a major street that we just crossed over. So now he will be heading back towards the 5 freeway and the Glendale area here, eastbound on Los Feliz. That is Hillcrest, I believe, that we just passed over. And now using the center divider to get around traffic. Los Feliz, another very, very busy street at any time of the afternoon or evening.
And you can see that he just blew through another red light. But again, the good news in all of this, we can hear at times sirens actually going, and you see the lights there. So cars are getting out of their way.
Yeah, cars are definitely getting out of the way, and that's really the only positive thing about this. But you just really incredible speeds on surface streets and on freeways at this point, and he will be approaching the 5 freeway here pretty quickly, eastbound on Los Feliz as we head towards the Glendale and Atwater Village area.
I have to say, this may be one of the most nerve-wracking and confusing chases that we have seen in quite some time. Desmond, do we know anything more about this suspect, how he got into this vehicle to begin with?
No, we still don't have that information for you. It's just, yeah, I got to say, I don't think I've ever seen in any of my time covering this chases a police vehicle that has been used against the police here in a chase. And as we were saying, quite possibly weapons inside this vehicle. So even if they can bring the chase to an end, then what's going to happen after that if this suspect is possibly armed?
Again, this all started possibly in the Walnut area. What you're looking at, the lead cruiser there is actually a stolen police cruiser, possibly out of the West Covina area. And we've been monitoring this chase now for a good 35 minutes or so. Luckily, no cars, no people have been hit so far because those sirens and lights have been on. But this car going speeds up to 70 to 100 miles an hour, not just on the freeway, but on city side streets like you're looking at right now.
Yeah, and we are eastbound. We are still eastbound on Los Feliz. We saw him cross over the 5 freeway not too long ago, so he's in the Atwater Village area now at this point and headed towards Glendale, and he will be coming up, I believe, to Central Avenue here pretty quickly. So right into the heart of Glendale, and he will have quite a few options at this point. Another red light obviously just blew through there. That's probably the 20th or so, several dozen vehicles he's blown through. This is now Central. He's headed northbound on Central, so he will be headed up towards a very busy area of the Glendale area, and the next freeway up there will be the 134 freeway.
This is very nerve-wracking to watch. This suspect just zigzagging across the area with the LA County Sheriff's deputies in pursuit. Again, just not showing any sign of stopping or slowing down. You could just see him blowing through all those intersections and all those stoplights, still going freeway speeds on surface streets here now in Glendale. Desmond, what options do police have? What can they do to possibly stop this guy?
Well, we were hoping that we were going to see a pit maneuver or something earlier, but when you're traveling at these kind of speeds, it's very difficult to pull off a maneuver like that. I mean, you're thinking if this suspect, especially on surface streets, if this suspect is traveling, at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour on the surface street, then how fast does the officer have to go in order to pull off a maneuver like that? So we're now going by the Americana at Brand, a very busy shopping center that actually should be shut down at this point, but he is northbound on Central, just crossed through Colorado right there, right in the heart of the Glendale area, and we will be upon the 134 freeway here pretty quickly.
Yeah, so the options are pit maneuvers, which are very difficult to do at this point, at those speeds, and spike strips. But again, this person is turning corners, making twists and turns, going on freeways, and getting on city streets. So there's really no way to use spike strips because we don't know where this person's going to end up.
Yeah, and he just made an eastbound turn there, eastbound away from the Glendale Galleria. So he's now paralleling the 134, and the next major street is going to be Glendale Avenue here for this chase, which again started back in the San Gabriel Valley, on the eastern edge of the San Gabriel Valley. We had heard it starting around Fairway and Valley in the Walnut area. Covered a lot of territory in a very short amount of time. Traveling at these speeds. It actually seems like he's slowed down a little bit within the last 5 minutes, but not too much. I believe that's Glendale Avenue there that we just crossed. So still headed eastbound and will at this rate be into the Eagle Rock area pretty quickly, but now he's just made another northbound turn. So we are now northbound headed towards the Glendale Freeway, or rather the Ventura Freeway, I should say, the 134, and back westbound again. Obviously incredibly erratic.
Yeah, and we've also seen whenever the police get close, the suspects swerve. So it's also very difficult for them to try to attempt that pit maneuver.
Yeah, absolutely. It almost seems like he's been anticipating it. And coming back to Glendale Avenue, I believe, unfortunately, we're getting pretty close to some low clouds here as well. Going to try to keep the shot and getting behind some buildings here. And believe we're coming up on the 134.
You can see those officers behind getting real close. It looks like they're going to do a pit maneuver, and then either they back off or the suspect takes off again. And there's another turn.
Yeah, now here we go. Here we go. I think this is going to be it. This is it. He turned into a dead-end parking lot, and there's the pit maneuver. They've spun him around, and they're going to try to box him in here. And let's see what happens, and just hope that that he doesn't have access to any weapons in there. Oh no, he's not giving up. This guy refuses to give up. Now in reverse, trying to get out of this parking lot in the Glendale area, pretty close to the 134. Wow, just slamming in there. Just slammed in right into the driver's side. He might have been injured after that one. Looks like it definitely did a number to this police cruiser as well. And you can see all that smoke there. They've got the both of them probably got their wheels going in opposite directions. So that's a lot of rubber burning there. And we've got officers obviously out now with their weapons drawn. And let's see how this turns out here. Wow.
And again, we don't know if there are weapons, what kind of weapons there are in that stolen cruiser. So I'm sure police are very concerned about that.
Authorities are now out of their vehicles with weapons drawn, pointing towards the stolen cruiser. This is a very delicate
situation now at this point. And we don't know. The suspect could very, very easily have been seriously injured at this point. Or, I mean, that impact was really, really hard. So it's entirely possible he could be incapacitated at this point. We don't know. Very, very delicate situation now. But yes, officers all out in force now, and weapons drawn. We'll just have to see how this plays out here in the next couple of minutes.
We don't know, again, if that suspect has access to any weapons inside that police cruiser, which could make this even more tense for those officers trying to figure out what to do.
Absolutely. That's really the concern at this point. I'm sure they have to know that there's a very high possibility of there being weapons in there, and we don't know the mental state of the suspect at this point. And so it's really, really hard to discern what's going to happen now.
It's so dark out there, Desmond. It's really hard to see from our vantage point. I can't really see officers. I can see a little bit of movement, but what's happening out there?
Yeah, we've got officers out here. You can see they've kind of taken cover around what looks like this parking structure, and they've got their weapons drawn, and they, I'm sure, are giving commands to the suspect, telling him to get out of the vehicle with his hands up. But again, after we saw that incredible impact there from that cruiser, that SUV that slammed in right into the driver's side of that Crown Victoria. So it's hard to say. They're now moving in, so he may be complying with their orders.
He might not be able to get out. He has to get out of probably out of the passenger side.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. He will have to get out of the passenger side if he's even able to. You see T-bone accidents like this. A lot of times people can come out with very serious injuries.
And it looks like this is all surrounded by some townhomes or apartments. So that's got to be. Can you imagine how frightening that is to look out your window and see what's going on? This looks like looks like residents. They're just there near the top of the shot there. So you can only imagine what's going through their mind when they see a police cruiser get slammed into by several other police cruisers. Just an absolute wild situation.
You know, with all the smoke and everything else, just a dramatic conclusion, it appears, to what has been an extremely confusing, erratic, dangerous chase. Desmond, you mentioned in all your years of doing this, you don't think you remember ever seeing a stolen police cruiser involved in a pursuit before. So this has been a wild night.
It has been a wild night. We've seen all kinds of vehicles, you know, old and new, and U-Haul vehicles, but yeah, this is the first one that I've seen a police cruiser being used to initiate a chase all across Southern California.
And thank goodness it has come to an end. It was possibly a risky move to hit that cruiser, but it had to be done to get this to stop, because we saw how many chances this guy took on the road, and he wasn't going to stop willingly, it looked like.
Yeah, no, you know, split-second decisions, obviously that's what these officers are trained for. We've seen some really incredible things with them pulling really great pit maneuvers, you know, on a moment's notice. When they see an opportunity to take it, they will. And you know, when they tried to pin that guy in, and you could see he was not willing to give up. He slammed it into reverse and tried to get away. Now here come the officers. Here come about a half dozen of them with weapons drawn, and it looks so. Let's see what happens here.
And obviously a very delicate situation, as we keep mentioning. We don't know the mental status of this suspect. We also don't know if he has access to any weapons inside. But it appears that the officers are going into the passenger side door. They have flashlights. They also have their guns drawn, making sure that this suspect complies and does what he's supposed to.
Yeah, they wouldn't have done this if they would not have all approached the vehicle if they thought that there was any danger that this person was, you know, going to fire back with a weapon or something. So perhaps he was listening to their commands, and they have now approached, and hopefully they will drag this guy out. Like I said, they're probably going to have to call an ambulance for this guy, because that was really quite some impact from that SUV, from that Ford Explorer that slammed into that Crown Victoria.
And we were wondering if possibly there was a passenger in the vehicle, but at this point it's pretty clear there was probably just the driver, because of all those officers heading on the passenger side, checking to make sure that driver is okay and trying to make sure he'll get out.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're probably just talking about a single suspect here in this vehicle for this chase that has terminated in the Glendale area. I'm looking out the window here, and we are just east of the Glendale Galleria and the Brand at Americana in a little residential area. And yeah, there are apartments all around here. As I zoom out, you can see it's probably quite a spectacle here for everybody in the area.
And as you mentioned, Desmond, it doesn't appear that the officers are nervous right now or extremely concerned for their safety. They seem to be standing there, and it almost looks like they're talking to who was ever inside that cruiser. So you have to imagine this person is probably very injured or just completely willing to surrender.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's my thought as well. You can see they're not holding their weapons in an aggressive manner, or you know, like they're prepared to fire. So they must be talking to this suspect, and might just be waiting for an ambulance at this point to come.
Yeah, as we sit in anticipation of what's going to happen, we're so glad that this has finally come to an end, because We just didn't know what this driver was capable of doing. Luckily, through all of his twists and turns and speeding, nobody was injured. And doesn't look like something is coming out of the driver's side window. I don't know if that's a body part or if that's just a reflection I'm seeing.
Or
yeah,
it could be
I
just
think
the
that may
airbag.
just be a reflection. Yeah, quite possibly the airbag there. But yeah, you're right. We saw triple-digit speeds here all across Southern California, from Walnut up towards the Pacoima area before he doubled back and ended up in the Glendale area. And we saw freeway speeds on surface streets, and the first report I had heard was 70 miles an hour westbound on Valley Boulevard, a street that has a ton of intersections. And you know, it may be that the only reason why this didn't turn into a more tragic situation is because of the lights and the sirens. So it did aid him for a while in getting away, and fortunately it looks like it did at least aid in making sure that everyone, you know, looked alive as he was coming by, and no one else got unnecessarily involved in this.
Well, certainly a wild end to what has also been an equally wild chase. This all coming to a stop here in Glendale after a police SUV slammed into the stolen cruiser. We're going to go now to Sports Central here on KCAL 9 News, but we're going to continue to follow this. We're going to bring you the very latest information on our sister station, CBS 2 News, coming up in just a few moments.
We're going to go to a break and then come back with Sports Central.
And Joe from Gill, take a look at our picture. Okay, copy that. Yeah, we didn't show anything, but I just wanted to show you what they were doing here. Copy that. Thank you.